My name is Evelyn Harper. I'm 68 years old, and I've spent the last 4 decades pouring my soul into raising my two children, only to realize that to them, I'm little more than a forgotten obligation. But that all changed on a rainy Sunday in May when I sat alone at a table set for three, the aroma of homemade lasagna fading into the empty air. It was Mother's Day, and I'd confirmed with them the night before. "Yes, Mom, we'll be there," Sarah had said, her voice clipped as if I was interrupting something important. "Of course, Ma," Jason added, sounding distracted, probably scrolling through his phone. I believed them. I always did. The table was perfect. Crisp white tablecloth I'd starched myself, the silverware polished to a shine, a vase of daisies I'd picked from the garden. I'd awoken at dawn to prepare everything, the lasagna bubbling in the oven, garlic bread warming, a fresh salad chilled in the fridge. By noon, I was ready, my heart fluttering with anticipation. This year would be different, I told myself. This year, they'd show up. Noon came and went. At 12:30, I checked my phone. No messages. By 1 o'clock, the food was done, but the house remained silent. I paced to the window, peering out at the drizzling rain, watching families hurry by with bouquets and smiles. At 2 o'clock, I called Sarah. Voicemail. Jason's line rang straight to nothing. The knot in my stomach tightened. By 3 o'clock, I sat at the table alone, staring at the empty chairs, the cooling meal mocking me. They weren't coming. Again. The tears started then, quiet at first, then overwhelming. I cried for the birthdays they'd skipped, the holidays they'd promised and forgotten, the endless excuses. Work, traffic, something came up. I was 68, widowed for 25 years, living on a modest pension from my late husband's factory job and what little I earned from part-time sewing. I'd given them everything, my youth, my savings, my dreams, and they couldn't spare an afternoon for me? By evening, I cleared the table, wrapped the uneaten food, and threw the wilted daisies away. The house felt like a tomb, echoing my solitude. I curled up on the worn couch in the living room, the same one where I'd rocked them as babies, and let the sobs come. Deep, silent ones that ached from years of buried hurt. Did they love me, or was I just convenient, a relic from their past? It was past 9 p.m. when I heard the key in the lock. The door swung open, and there they were, Sarah and Jason, laughing, cheeks flushed from what smelled like wine and good times. They flipped on the light, and their smiles faded when they saw my red-rimmed eyes. "Hey, Mom," Sarah said, dropping her purse on the floor. She was in a sleek dress, heels clicking on the hardwood. "We just swung by on our way home from a barbecue at Lisa's. You okay?" Jason plopped down beside me, reeking of barbecue smoke and beer. "Yeah, Ma? Rough day?" I couldn't speak at first, the lump in my throat too thick. They didn't even remember it was Mother's Day, or if they did, they didn't care. After an awkward silence, Sarah cleared her throat. "Listen, Mom, we hate to ask, but things are tight right now. My car needs repairs, transmission's shot, and Jason's got some bills piling up. We need about $2,500 to get through the month. You know we'd pay you back." Jason nodded eagerly. "Yeah, Ma, just this once. We'll make it up to you." I stared at them. My children, Sarah, 42, a marketing executive with a fancy apartment, Jason, 40, a salesman always chasing the next deal. They'd been to a party while I wept alone, and now they wanted money. Something snapped inside me, a fragile thread I'd been clinging to for too long. What they didn't know was that I'd already made a decision. In the drawer of my nightstand was an envelope with a train ticket, one way, no return. I'd bought it weeks ago in a moment of quiet desperation, staring at travel sites on my old laptop. It was to a small town in the mountains, far from this suburb in Ohio where I'd lived my whole life. But now, seeing their expectant faces, that ticket felt like salvation. I shook my head. I don't have it, I said flatly. Sarah frowned. Come on, Mom. You always have a little saved. It's an emergency. No, I repeated, standing up. Not this time. They exchanged glances, then left soon after, muttering about figuring it out themselves. The door clicked shut and I was alone again. But this time, the silence felt different, empowering. It hadn't always been like this. There was a time when my children were my world, bright spots in a modest life. We lived in a cramped bungalow in Dayton, Ohio. My husband, Tom, worked the assembly line at the auto plant. I was a seamstress, mending clothes for neighbors to make ends meet. Sarah was born first, a bundle of energy with curly hair and endless questions. Jason came 2 years later, quiet and thoughtful, always building forts from cardboard boxes. We were poor but content. I'd sew their clothes from scraps, tell bedtime stories of faraway adventures, bake cookies on rainy days. Tom was steady, not affectionate, but reliable. He'd come home exhausted, eat dinner, and sometimes pat my hand saying, "You're a good woman, Evelyn." That was enough. Then Tom died. Heart attack at 43, right on the factory floor. I was 40, Sarah 14, Jason 12. Suddenly, it was just us. His pension was meager, $800 a month. I took on more sewing, cleaned offices at night, anything to keep the lights on. My hands blistered from needles, my back ached from scrubbing, but my kids ate, went to school, had shoes without holes. I sacrificed sleep, hobbies, even friendships, because they were my everything. Sarah was resilient, helping with Jason, cooking simple meals when I worked late. I felt guilty, stealing her teenage years, but she never complained, at least not then. Jason was dreamier, sketching cars and buildings, promising, "When I'm rich, Ma, I'll buy you a mansion." I smiled, believing him, because mothers do. As they grew, things shifted. Sarah resented our poverty, eyeing her friends' new gadgets and vacations. "Why can't we have nice things?" she'd snap. Jason withdrew, ditching his sketches for video games and late nights out. I kept sewing, kept giving, thinking one day they'd see my sacrifices. Sarah left at 18 for community college on scholarships I'd helped apply for. She got a job, but her money went to clothes and parties, not home. When I asked for help with bills, she sighed. "Mom, I'm building my life." Jason dropped out of high school, took odd jobs, then moved in with buddies at 20. "Need space, Ma." I gave him startup money from my savings, watching him go without a back glance. Sarah married young, divorced twice, each time crashing back home for months, recovering on my couch before vanishing again. Jason bounced between girlfriends and jobs, always one deal away from success. They'd visit sporadically, mostly when broke. $100 for gas, $300 for rent, $500 for emergencies. I'd give, skipping my blood pressure meds or eating ramen to stretch my pension. Because I loved them, because I thought they'd change. But that Mother's Day shattered the illusion. The next morning, nursing coffee, I opened my laptop, a handover from Jason. I rarely used social media, but curiosity gnawed. I searched Sarah's profile. Photos flooded the screen. Her at trendy bars, weekend getaways, designer bags, spa days. Posts from yesterday. Epic barbecue with the crew, living my best life, smiling with friends, clinking glasses, while I waited alone. Jason's was worse. Flashy watches, nights at casinos, a new truck, vacations to Vegas. A recent post, "Winning big, #blessed," with stacks of cash. How? They earned decently. Sarah mid-five figures, Jason commission-based. Where was their money going? Gambling? Luxuries? Not bills, clearly. Then I found it, a screenshot Sarah posted by mistake from their group chat, siblings only. Jason, hit up the old lady for cash yet? Sarah, lol, not yet. Tell her it's for the car. She always bites. Poor Mom, but hey, that's what she's for, right? funding our fun till she kicks it. My blood ran cold. The old lady, funding our fun? I read it repeatedly, nausea-vising. This was me to them, a joke, a bank, a future inheritance, not a mother who had bled for them. I tallied the money I'd given, over $15,000 in 3 years, from my $1,100 pension scrimped and saved. While they partied, I went without heat in winter. Lies, all lies. That day, I decided, no more. I called my neighbor, Mrs. Clara Benson, 72, a widow like me. We'd bonded over garden chats. She'd lent me books, listened to my woes. Unlike my kids, she remembered my birthday. "Clara," I said, voice shaking, "I need help." She came over with tea. I showed her everything, screenshots, bank slips, photos. She hugged me.